The American and North Korean conflict started in the late 1990s and 2000s, but before its recent conflicts in modern-day society, Korea was a part of Japan. The nation was then liberated shortly after the fall of Japan and the Axis powers during World War II. Korea was declared an independent nation, but its independence did not separate itself from the issues going on in the outside world. The influx of communism during the 1950s by the Soviet Union flooded North Korea, but was fought by the South Koreans during the Korean War and eventually led to the split of the state at the 38th parallel. Korea was separated into North Korea, which was dominated by communism, and South Korea, which was upheld by American influence. The Korean conflict was forgotten for a short time due to the rapidly increasing tensions between the USSR and the United States. The Cold War conflict started to recede during the 1980s, and a major stepping stone of ending this arms race was the signing of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Act. Because North Korea was considered a communist nation due to its association with the Soviet Union, North Korea also signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Act, which stated that North Korea would stop producing nuclear weapons as a step towards peace. North Korea once again went under the radar until leader Kim Jong-il came to power in 1994. Kim Jong-il was a ruthless, totalitarian leader, and word started to spread about how a large majority of his nation was starving. Not only that, but throughout the 1990s, Kim Jong-il remilitarized the country with nuclear weapons, which went against the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Act that was signed years before he came into power.
Long ago, a war had broken out known as the Korean War. It was a back-and-forth war where the North would push and the South would retaliate. Before this war, there was no North Korea or South Korea. Both countries went to major lengths in trying to attain peace, but to this day, they are still separated. North Korea being an extremely isolated country for such a long time, people know little about what's happening inside the country. Most things that people know about this country is that they're a communist country who is very hungry for nuclear power. Access is very limited in this country where taking pictures and videos in certain areas is considered illegal. Through the decades, large strides have been made and much improvement has occurred. After the Cold War, the economy of North Korea took a major hit. Many North Koreans fled and entered South Korea, increasing the population drastically. These North Koreans found a way to live with the South. The recent Winter Olympics that occurred in South Korea shows the advancement of the relationship between the two. During the introduction ceremony, both North Korean athletes and South Korean athletes walked under the same flag. It was neither the North or South flag. It was determined that the flag would be blue and the entirety of Korea, symbolizing the hope that one day peace will hover over them. Also, a recent interaction was when the leaders of both countries met. For the first time, Kim Jong-un stepped into South Korea and the president of South Korea stepped into the North for a brief period of time. Then they signed the Panmunjom Declaration for Peace, Prosperity, and Unification on the Korean Peninsula. The document commits the two countries to a nuclear-free peninsula and talks to bring a formal end to the Korean War. They ended their meet with a toast at dinner together and finally agreed to end the 68-year-old war.
Tensions have been high for North Korea, with threats of nuclear warfare surging. Most countries have been distancing themselves from Kim Jong-un and turning against him. However, peace is on the horizon for North Korea. President Trump seeks peace with North Korea and looks to accomplish this by meeting with the country's representatives. After verbal threats were given by both of the nation's leaders, Trump and Kim are coming to an agreement with the common goal of world peace and prosperity. Trump has even made mention of a deal between the United States and Korea. While it is not clear what this Trump-Kim deal might entail, the peace agreement seems likely to take place. Due to the recent threats of nuclear warfare between the two countries, Trump's focus in the deal is to denuclearize Korea and prevent the threat from ever being present again. Due to the complexity of forming a treaty that includes these agreements, their goals are possible but very far in the future. Before all those steps can be taken, Trump needs to have North Korea agree to surrender the peninsula's nuclear weapons. It is an unrealistic expectation for Kim Jong-un to hand over his weapons, but in doing this, he is practically ensuring peace between the nations. Trade with China also seems to be on North Korea's horizon. In Hunchun, China, it is a town on the border of North Korea and China. This small town is known for its garment factories and provides an example to the rest of the world for what equality looks like. These Chinese factories in this town are extremely welcoming to North Korean citizens. They even hire them to come and work for them. In fact, Chinese look at the North Korean employees as more skilled and harder workers. Even small trades are made across the border between the Chinese citizens and North Koreans.
North Korea's nuclear program has been making great strides over the last 2 decades, giving the whole world quite the scare. A nuclear threat began to show from North Korea in 1992 when it was found that North Korea had a more extensive nuclear program than was led to believe. This led to North Korea leaving the International Atomic Energy Agency and threatening to leave the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which stopped the spread of nuclear weapons. The U.S. was able to halt the aggression by negotiating with North Korea and coming to agreement in 2002 known as Agreed Framework. This allowed the International Atomic Energy Agency access to their nuclear developments while pausing their nuclear activities. Everything fell apart, though, in early 2003 when North Korea left the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Many of the surrounding countries became scared and decided they needed to begin to talk with North Korea about denuclearization. China, Japan, Russia, South Korea, and the U.S. all discussed denuclearization with North Korea. However, these negotiations never led to anything. After that, there weren't any efforts to denuclearize North Korea until recently, with President Donald Trump attempting to talk things out with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to come to an agreement on how to peacefully end North Korea's nuclear program. Though it has been delayed, Donald Trump has scheduled a meeting with Kim Jong-un.